Yo, what is up, stream? We are back again for something a little bit different than usual, but I figured being as we did the GameCube repair at one point in time, we would do a Game Boy Color repair. So I bought this as a parts Game Boy from eBay. Um, this is it right here, this teal guy. It's in pretty rough shape, I'm not gonna lie. Like, this thing is, I mean, I'll turn on the other camera in a second so you guys can see a little bit better, but like the screen is scuffed, the case is scuffed. Heck, the start and select button, I don't know if this was owned by a little kid that thought it would be something to like rub on the ground at one point, because they're pretty much scored off of there. I mean, what's little left of the rubber, you can still press them in, but there's really not a whole lot to do anything with it. I mean, the D-pad and the A and B buttons seems okay. And the listing had this not having audio working. So, well, obviously it's listing the battery bank as well, or well, the battery cover. Um, so what we're gonna try and do is potentially upgrade the speaker, see if the speaker is the problem. I was messing around with this little switch earlier on this side as I took it out of the package, because it might not actually be the speaker that's bad. It might be this little like dial that rolls up and down on this Game Boy. Other than that, I mean, it's got the usual like 20-ish years of use and abuse. So like the stickers are peeling off of it. We're going to try and bend this coil back a little bit on the battery terminal, because it got bent at some point. Again, probably just because it was some little kid like yanking the batteries in and out of this, or like put the battery in wrong. And you know, just use. I mean, it's old. So just as a proof of where we're at with this thing, I'm gonna throw some batteries in it. So I'm not claiming this is one that's completely dead. This does at least turn on. We at least get the Game Boy Color boot thing, and I mean, there's no cartridge in there currently, so of course it's going to have the little like black, because it doesn't have anything to read. So these are just rechargeable batteries, so we know the board at least gets power. So it's not a completely dead Game Boy Color, so I'm not saying that I'm repairing this from completely dead parts. So I got a couple things to help us with this. Basically, I looked at an article. I'm not real familiar with repairing these Game Boys. I did like a bare minimum amount of research that I needed just in case I needed to fix and replace stuff. So apparently what a lot of the Game Boy modder people do is they take a switch speaker, and if the speaker is bad in this Game Boy Color and some of the other models, they'll put a switch speaker in there, kind of as an upgrade. I mean, it's basically very similar size, so it should fit in the case without any problems. We won't have to drill or modify or Dremel anything. That will require some soldering, so I did break out a new soldering iron that we can potentially use if we need to. I'm really thinking that it's something in this roll switch, just from tech background, I guess we'll say, even though I've not repaired one of these Game Boys before. So I'm going to guess with that. So we could be wrong. I did get another chip as well to replace basically as an amplifier for this, if that is the case. I did not check the headphones jack. Typically, if the headphones jack doesn't work, it also means that there's something wrong with the like built-in amplifier on the board, and that's why you're not getting any speaker noise and you're not getting anything through the headphones. So we'll mess around with this a little bit, see what we can do. But like I said, this thing is in pretty rough shape. So, you know, we paid next to nothing for it because it's got no sound, has other damage and issues. But what we're going to do is, I was able to score this as well. This is a replacement shell, as I drop the sticker on the ground. Never fails on a stream. So we're going to switch it to a nice gold case. So this is obviously aftermarket. It's not, you know, the original Nintendo one. It's a replica, so it was relatively cheap. And that also has the Pokemon cover for the screen. So being as we love Pokemon on this channel, we're gonna basically replace this. I don't know if I'm gonna reuse the original buttons or not as far as the D-pad and the A and B. This did come with replacement ones. Those ones aren't in terrible shape, and maybe as a homage to what it started out as, we'll keep them in there and just reuse those ones. So I'm just gonna take this out of the plastic and kind of get it ready. So these are the parts, little pieces, screws. I'm going to try and reuse the OEM screws just because I feel like they're a little bit nicer. I just know when sometimes you get these aftermarket cases and stuff like that, that it just, sometimes the stuff doesn't work very well, or it's like cheaper made. So we're going to reuse the original screws pending we don't drop or lose any of them. But this should be a relatively easy swap, and while we have it open, like I said, we'll mess with the stuff a little bit just to make sure that everything is working as intended. Worst case scenario, if the speaker doesn't work, even if we solder a new one on, it's not the end of the world. We'll put it together. I'll do some more research off of stream, try and figure out what we need to do to potentially fix that long term. The other thing that we're going to do on this stream, just as kind of while we're in the repair mode, we have this Pokemon Blue from Japan. It's in pretty bad shape. Oop, as I almost dropped the circuit board. So it's got some gunk and grime on the chip, like where the little teeth are that meet the Game Boy. We're going to try and clean it. I brought some isopropyl alcohol. I don't know if we're going to be able to save this one. I mean, we might be able to re-tin over those teeth if the stuff comes off when we pull the cartridge and kind of wipe it down with the alcohol. I've seen people do it. I don't know how well it works and how, you know, if it works at all for us to do it, just because I'm not the best soldering person out there. We're going to try it. If I do need to solder it, I'm going to do a little bit more research. If this cartridge is bad, this came as a bonus to some of the other cartridges that I ordered. I have multiple of these, so it's not the end of the world if this is not repairable or not, like, cleanable, I should say. But we'll see. I don't want to rule it out because it might just be surface gunk, and when we take the Q-tip to it or a little bit of a toothbrush and brush it off, that stuff might be fine and it might boot up without any issues. So that being said, I'm going to, being as we're on the Pokemon theme, we're going to play some non-DMCA Pokemon music in the background. We're going to kind of get right into disassembling the Game Boy, and then we'll come back to the Game Boy cartridge after that, and then we'll probably put them together and see if we can get them to boot up and, you know, test things from there. So I'm going to switch this over, get the music on, and we're going to start this whole thing. Let me just make sure that the secondary cam is working. It is. Now, this isn't the best camera, but it should at least give you guys kind of a better view when I'm tinkering with some of this stuff. So let me throw the music on. Alright, so first we're going to have to get this case open. So this has these like tri-bits. It's like a Nintendo exclusive thing. Or at least I think it's a Nintendo exclusive thing. Right, so I'm basically taking these top screws out of the case. Take the next two. I just realized my face cam is going to be kind of funny because it's just me looking down at the Game Boy the entire time. Slide that out of the way. Alright, so I already felt the case kind of pull apart after those 4 screws were taken out. Again, just probably the age of this. I don't know if this was taken apart by the person that sold it on eBay. They said that the speaker wasn't working and that it was a parts Game Boy, and then they didn't have the skills to repair the stuff. So again, I don't know if that's just like somebody that buys a bunch of this stuff and sells the lots then, if the stuff is not good, but we're going to take a shot at it and see if we can get this working. I believe all these screws are the same size. Alright, so that should be... So it's basically 6 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can kind of see the recess there in the battery area. So hopefully we should be able to just pop this apart pretty easily. Alright, good. Well, that could be part of the problem. Alright, so... I don't know if that's just dirt or it's actually water damage. So this might have actually gotten wet at some point. It might just be dirt and debris, but if you see it on this edge here, there's basically some grime on the board. So we're going to take some time and clean that up. So it is 1998 on this particular Game Boy. I mean, other than that, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, for the age of it. I am going to bend this coil back real quick. It's the hair. Get these ESD tweezers. See if I can grab this coil. Just to straighten it out a bit, because it's kind of curving back towards the board, which I don't want it to. And I think, again, that was just because of use. I don't want to pry on it too much because these are old. Alright, that's a little bit better. So basically, I just wanted to straighten that out a little bit. So, that being said, let me try with just the regular brush first. See if this is just dirt. No, it didn't come off. Alright. As I drop the volume piece. Alright. Well, okay. Let me grab the volume switch off of the floor. Wherever it bounced to. It's a piece from the other DS we were taking apart. Actually, does this have a new one? Look at the it does. Alright. So that would basically slide in here. Alright. Well, I guess we're going to use those as the gray theme until I can find where that other one bounced to. So I'm gonna get a little bit of rubbing alcohol, or I'm sorry, isopropyl alcohol. I'm gonna put a little itty bitty amount on this toothbrush. See if we can clean these pieces a little better. It's actually looking better already. Alright. So you can see how dark it is over here still, and how light it's gotten on this side. So that's actually going to work out pretty well, I think. Give this a nice clean. I know this is probably odd for people to see me basically scrubbing the motherboard, but clean up this stuff. As I'm shaking my entire table to clean it. It actually looks pretty good. Much cleaner than when we just opened it. So that's pretty good. Happy with that. Alright. So, that being said, wash out this port real quick. Trade port. There's some dirt and debris and gunk in there. And some dirt and debris on the back. Alright, so we clean the port a little bit. Alright, so the rolling dial does work. Okay. So, maybe if we take a little bit of rubbing alcohol and clean this, see what we get. Again, this is fine to use to clean, but I don't want too much of it. Just brush the dial, as funny as that is. Kind of make sure there's no dirt and debris underneath there. Brush these connectors. I don't think there's actually any damage to these connectors here. Alright. Other than these things, this is actually pretty clean in here, besides that bottom piece that might have been some liquid. And these pieces being... I mean, that feels better already. I wonder if there was like some gunk, or maybe when they spilled something on it that we found down here, maybe something came in from the speaker side and that's why they're having issues. So, alright. Moving on. So that was the tri-bit. Alright, so these are going to be the ones that hold the board in place. Actually, before I do that, no, we're going to have to take it apart. I was going to try and test the speaker, but we're not going to be able to do that right yet. I'm just going to use my thumb to kind of hold this cartridge piece in place. Alright, so those are the 3 board screws. so that should let that release. Again, I'm kind of not 100% going into this blind, but a little bit going into this blind. Alright, so that should take care of the rest of those. Off, on, the switch. Alright. Alright, so let's pick up on this a little bit. So if this screen comes right out, we know this was taken apart at one point, which it isn't. So that's good. This means this was never really screwed with by whoever owned it previously. I'm gonna flip this up a little bit. And this is gonna probably, if you can hear it, sound bad. I'm gonna actually tweak the case to kind of release that screen. I don't know if you guys could hear that click. Again, that's mostly just breaking that old glue that's been in there for years. It's not actually breaking the screen. Just gotta be real careful with that ribbon cable. And then twist it again. Didn't quite pop at the bottom as much as I wanted it to. I would also be prying on this less if we were reusing the case after the repair, being as we're going to the aftermarket case. Alright, here it comes. I just grab the sides of the LCD and gently twist and pry. Alright, so screen and motherboard. So, kind of going to do the reverse of this. Flip it. Try and not get any fingerprints on there. And kind of get it to sit in that piece. This over here. Again, being very gentle because I do not want to break this screen or the ribbon cable. So that looks okay from that piece. So what we need to do is kind of fold the Game Boy back over itself to put the buttons and stuff in, and the membranes. I mean, they're dirty, but they're not terrible. I mean, for the age, they still are pretty good. Alright, I'm gonna set this down just to... Yeah, these, out of the other buttons, these ones aren't terrible. Probably clean these and reuse them. Alright. Okay, so let's flip this back. Lay it down. Trying to keep that screen in place. Yeah, this thing does not want to open. Maybe start and select nubs that are not worn off. Yeah, you can actually see. It's pretty bad. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see it on the camera. That's the original ones. Like, there's just chunks out of them. Alright. That is in... Alright, so these are keyed, so they only fit in one way. So that should be those. Membranes in there. Brains in there. All right, so now's the next fun piece. We flip this back. Actually, let me look at this before we get to that. See what this speaker looks like. There. We're gonna pull the speaker back a bit. So that's there. Put the RF cover in. Hopefully that's the correct way. It doesn't really have a key on that. Looks like they're trial and error on that piece for the RF cover. So this is actually a little bit smaller than the original speaker, so that actually works out okay. So let's do this. Let's put our motherboard screws back in. I'm going to tighten these, but I don't want to tighten them too much so we're crunching the board. That should hold it in place. Alright. And once we tighten those other ones, that should help hold the screen piece down. So that's good. We'll still need to put this in, which is the power button, or sorry, the volume button. Or no, this is the power button. Yeah, power on and off, okay. Off. Alright. I guess let's do this next. Actually, I want to, before we solder the new one in, let's see if this actually works. Because maybe cleaning that stuff was all that this needed. I might actually have to take those screws back out. Darn it. That's the only problem with not taking these apart on a regular basis. Miss dumb things like that. That you can't fit the speaker in there without it being set completely underneath first. Just because I don't want to have to solder a new one on if it actually is working, and just required that cleaning. Maybe resetting those pieces will help as well. Alright, screen. Slide back in there, thank you. Alright. Screen back in place. That's pretty good. Right. Those will hold in place better once we get everything sit down and tightened. There's a little bit more tolerance in this because it's an aftermarket case. Also don't want to strip these screws. Feels better. Huh, that's hilarious. I think it's actually spinning in my hand. It's much quicker, much better. Alright, let me switch to my regular toolkit, because that kind of sucks. Yeah, so those screwdrivers that came with the kit basically are just spinning in my hand instead of actually tightening the screw. Alright, so that's tight, good to go. This one, yep, good. Good. Alright. Got a little bit of fingerprint on the screen. Alright. So I guess before we screw everything back together, let's test this to make sure it actually works, and do we get any volume. Also, I'm gonna have to like microfiber clean that screen as well. Hopefully this, just putting this together enough and holding it will be enough to put the batteries in and turn it on. I would really like to see if we have audio before. Managed to move the, there it is, the power thing again. I guess we technically could just use the nub to turn it on until we put everything back together. Let's just do that until we do final assembly. Again, I just want to flip this, see if we actually get it to turn on. We do. Good. All right, let's throw a cartridge in here. So I think it... So we got some amount of audio out of this. So I don't think it's actually the speaker that's the problem. Okay. That actually doesn't sound awful for how old the speaker is either, considering what it is. Alright. Let's just make sure this actually loads into game. Okay. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's actually the roller dial. Because you can hear it as I kind of mess with it. We lose it, then it comes back eventually if you mess with it enough. Alright, so we at least know something about what could potentially be going on with this then. So, alright, let's shut this back off. We'll pull the cartridge back out. So we know it's something with the dial now. So that helps us troubleshoot this a little bit better. Alright. So... pushing in helps a little bit. Alright, before I finger up the screen anymore, let's take that piece and take care of that next. So, just wipe this off real quick. Just ever so slightly, a little bit in the corner still. Again, I'm being very gentle when I'm rubbing on the screen just because that's the original LCD panel. I don't want to break it. I think that looks pretty good. It's gonna be hard to see on stream, but it looks pretty clean. Right in that corner. Bring it up to the light real quick just to make sure I don't see any other stuff. Alright, so to prevent that further, let's stick on the new screen before we get any further into this project. Alright. So now we got our sweet Pokemon themed Game Boy Color. I'm not going to take this other screen protector off until we're done messing with this. But that should clean up pretty nicely. Alright, while we're in here, get our handy dandy toothbrush back out. Clean up these cartridge area. Just make sure there's clean out some dust there, if there is any. Alright. Clean that. Looks alright. Alright, so we know it's something with the spinner wheel now. So, I wonder if all these don't look like they need to be resoldered. They don't look like they're broken. Let's get our handy dandy. So I'm going to try and show this, what we're going to try and do. So I'm going to push on these just and see if anything moves. No, so they're pretty solid. Everything seems okay. Like it's not getting stuck when we're rolling this. Let's try cleaning it up a little bit more. Take a little bit more rubbing alcohol and see if there's anything else gunk-wise underneath there. Bristles underneath just to make sure there's nothing else underneath there causing the weirdness, because it's almost like if you push on it and spin it, it does work. So to me that seems more like a slider issue as far as that piece. I'm wondering if there's just some dirt and debris in there from years. I'm gonna spin it, scrub some underneath there, spin it, scrub some more underneath there. All right. Let's see what we get. Cartridge back in. I'm just kind of holding the case together at the moment. Okay. So we got audio again. So maybe that's all it really needed, was just cleaned. I mean, I'm going to do some research into that to see what our other alternatives are in case it stops working again. But I think for a live stream, repair. It might have just been dirt and debris underneath there. So, alright, we're going to take this back apart. We'll button everything up. Alright. Cartridge out. Batteries out. Alright. Okay, so power button. Or power slide, I guess we should say. Off position. Seems kind of loose to me, but maybe we want to get this case back on here. Hold it in position. All right, very gently. That must not be right because that does not want to pop back in. That must be the right way. Alright, we learned something new. Again, because I haven't done this before, especially on stream live. A little bit of learning curve. Alright, so should be back to our 6 screws. Like I said, we're reusing the original screws that were from the original Game Boy. We did get new screws, but I'll hold on to those in case we need them for something else. Another repair, maybe. Alright. I'm gonna just tighten these a little bit and kind of move my way around. Tightening them. Things kind of just pop together. So I'm going to hold on to the switch speaker because we're probably going to use that for the DS mod when we do the DS macro. So it will get reused. Very good. one's tight. That one's tight. That one's tight. That one's tight. Get these bottom two again. All right, tight and tight. All right. Much more clicky buttons. I mean, the D-pad is what it is for a Game Boy. Not going to get anything too crazy. I actually have start and select buttons that are not ripped off. So now I can put the fancy sticker on. So we actually have to replace that. Let's see if I can get the tweezers underneath there. Guess I didn't realize that that was going to be Hey Doomy, never asked, dude, but do you have an Xbox? I do have an Xbox, Blue Dino. How are you doing this evening? Alright, so we actually need to slide this over further. I am feeling the best. Oh, let's already hear that. Do I play DayZ? I think we had this conversation. It's on my list of games to try, but I have not played it up until this point. That's the sticker on there. I don't think we did. Oh, maybe I was talking to somebody else about that then that asked a similar question. Apologize if that was someone else. Alright. Not particularly a fan of this sticker. I think we're going to look for another one online and replace that, but it's on there. I think they make like a shiny version that I can get for this. Underneath there. Okay. Is that what you're playing currently? Those are good. Stickers on the back. Didn't peel off the screen guard yet. I guess. Let's throw the batteries back in here. Interesting. Might have tightened this too much because I cannot get the on off to slide. Alright, we'll back this out a little bit. Just a hair. Okay. That switch is just not worn in like the other one. That's like a heck of a click. Yes, sadly I have no friends that want to ever play it with me though. Well, a moment of truth. Interesting. So it is still something going on with that switch. Because if you can get it just in the right spot at the end, the volume works. Alright, so I'm going to have to do some research into what's going on with that. Let's test the headphones jack, just to see if that works. But Blue Dino, I would definitely be interested to play at some point, so. Alright, I'm going to plug the headphones in. We do indeed lose. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear that coming out of... No, it's probably not loud enough. So headphones work. Oh, oops. One headphone works. Let me see if the other headphone works. Okay. So that being said, if I roll the wheel down while I have a headphone in, we lose audio. Okay. So it still works in the headphones. Interesting. Okay. So if I roll this with the headphones in, you get the same little gargle, like kind of distorted audio for a second. But then it comes back. So that's really weird. Yeah, we could hear it. I don't really know. I mean, short of getting a replacement scroll wheel and soldering it on there, I don't know what else you would do to fix that, because it's not actually fully broken. It's like it has a sweet spot almost. But me rolling it up and down has actually made it work better. So maybe cleaning it, maybe it just needs to be like used. Interesting. Alright, well I'm going to leave it at half audio for now. I'll mess with this off stream just to see if I can test it some more. But, I mean, coming from this beat up old case, no back, needs to get worn in a bit more. I think there's just, like, I tried cleaning it, but I think because it's had like something in it at some point, maybe it just needs, like, now that I cleaned it, it needs just to be rolled up and down a couple times, maybe, like, just if there's anything left residual that the isopropyl alcohol didn't get. But I'll do some more research into it anyways to see if there's anything else that needs to be done. But yeah, so basically we now have a reshelled Game Boy that I got for pretty much next to nothing because it was parts Game Boy. And we really didn't have to solder anything new. And I could have replaced the speaker, but it really honestly sounds fine, and it wasn't broken. So I would consider that a win at this point. I am going to look real quick and see what we can get as far as other Game Boy Color replacement stickers for the back here. Just real quick while we're on stream, just because I'm curious. Replacements. Game Boy Color. Stickers. Alright, so this combo, so we could actually get a replacement sticker kit from Etsy for $5. Game Boy Color sticker, rear console sticker, and battery door warranty sticker. So that would be this here, which we don't have either. Alright, that's pretty sweet actually. Alright, so I think that's actually it for this Game Boy. I think we can call that as a pretty decent success for a parts Game Boy. It's now in a new shell. Works pretty well. We cleaned everything. We cleaned the gunk that was on the bottom of the board here. Yeah, and so I think at least for now, that's pretty good. I will take this screen protector off as well, so it's clean. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with that. There might be a little imperfection on, I don't know if that's the LCD or the replacement glass. Let's see if it's on this one. And you guys probably can't even see it. It's like one little piece. If you turn the light just right, like right here, there's a little like dot. So that might actually be in the remanufactured plastic piece, which is fine. I mean, you can actually get glass ones of these as well, but I wanted this one because it had the sweet Pokemon theme. So it's pretty cool. I'm very excited about this. So my suggestion is take a chance on stuff like this sometimes, because you might be able to get something for next to nothing if you have any kind of want or need to play classic games. Now granted, I can play this on the GameCube too. Well, both GameCubes that I have. So this isn't a necessity thing. This was kind of a cool side thing that I found and was like, this is actually pretty sweet. So buy it for parts, see if I can get it working. We did, you know, get the sound pretty much straightened out. I'll mess with it a little bit more. But yeah, I think at this point, let me do a BRB and clean up some of this Game Boy build stuff, put my tools away. And then we're probably going to come back and continue our Crystal Nuzlocke a little bit. And see where we get with that. So, alright stream, I'll be right back. Oh, actually, I'm getting sidetracked here. Let me take this cartridge out. I forgot, we were going to clean that other blue cartridge that I got. The Japanese one. So, let's do that. Set this over here for now. Alright, so, like I said previously, there's all this debris and stuff on these pins. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. just wipe these pins down a bit. That might actually be just damage on the pins. We might not be able to fix that. Like, I thought at first it was just needed to be cleaned, but gotta be careful because you don't want to brush on these too hard and actually damage the contacts. Let me see if I can get a Q-tip real quick so we can do a little bit more push directly on that gunk and see if it comes out. Alright, be right back, stream. Alright, let's do the same thing, get a little bit of alcohol on there. Actually take this board out real quick. I really hate doing this because of the, like, fibers. I need something that's, like, abrasive enough that I can push down on it. I'm sure they probably make something that's specific for cleaning these, but all right, go back in with the toothbrush again. Not quite. Looks better, but still not where we want it to be. It's almost gone. I don't know what it was that's on there though. It's like goop. Like gunk of some sort. And again, I'm being very careful on how much pressure I'm putting on there because we don't want to break these contacts or damage them. It's like brushing your teeth. Brushing your cartridge teeth. Again, I'm being very careful to not put too much pressure on these. It's pretty clean, actually. Let's get a little tiny bit more. It's actually pretty good. The next question is going to be, does it actually work? But that's pretty clean. Alright, so compared to what it started out with, I mean, you can still see a little bit of discoloration on there, but overall not terrible at this point. So, that being said, back in here. Grab my game bit. The only problem is this thing pops out. This to fully lock it down. For luck. Well, we got sound. Will it load? No. That might be a region thing, though, because this is it. I don't know if the Game Boys are region locked like that. No, look. Reseated it. Sweet. I'll call that 2 wins for the night then. Look at that. Pocket Monsters Blue version. Heck yeah. That is awesome. Oh, there's actually a save on here. Someone was in the Viridian Forest. Look at that. Alright, sweet. Well, that's a cool outcome, too. Alright, so we got a working Game Boy. Battle one Pokemon real quick on this one. Forgot what it's like not to have a backlight on these things. Metapod. That should be Scratch. Yep. Look at that. Alright, sweet. Alright, I call that a win. Got the cartridge cleaned and the Game Boy working. Alright. So, that being said, I need to get more. Over here. These are all Game Boy Advance cartridge cases. Maybe there's some Game Boys underneath. There are a couple more Game Boys. Let me stop recording for the YouTube piece.